What's going on, guys? So today we are over at Coley's house and we are going to be working on our Silverado, our flip truck we got. So we've got a whole bunch of parts ordered for it. We've got it completely torn down. And I'll sort of go around the truck because I haven't showed it to you on the videos yet, if his dogs quit barking back there. But today we're going to be putting some lowering shackles on it and some new rear shocks to get it set up the way we want it. We figured since it was two-wheel drive, we're not going to make any money off of it, you know, because everybody wants a four-wheel drive. So we figured we'd just make it a sweet two-wheel drive. We're going to lower the back end just a little bit. Hopefully put some 20s on it from a newer Suburban or Tahoe or something like that. But the truck should be looking pretty good. But I'm going to do a quick little walk around to the truck just to show you what we're working with, show you all the parts we've got. Go through this quick little how-to video on how to put these lowering shackles on. And it should be a pretty good video. So here we go. All right, so this is the beast. And this is the truck we got from the insurance auction that was wrecked. It looks like it either got sideswiped right here and ran all the way down the side, or it ran off the road, hit a guardrail or something crazy like that. But you can see the front quarter panel is pretty smashed. The paint on the truck actually is in really good shape. Usually these Chevrolets, the clear coat starts peeling on them, but this one looks really good. We've got the bed pulled off because the back left side of the bed was smashed. It's actually here, it's actually been fixed, and we've got a whole bunch of pictures up on our Instagram of that. So if you don't follow us on Instagram, check us out, No BS Auto Rehab, same as the channel. But we've got all that tore apart. There's the bed liner out of it, and it's also got a bed cover for it. So coming inside, I'll show you some of the parts we've got ordered already, all the stuff we've got. We've got a new front bumper cover. It was smashed. We got to put it on that chrome piece. We had to get a brand new grill. The fog lights are in that red box back there. So we got brand new fog lights for it, tow hitch. So the whole thing's coming together. And basically the only thing we have to get now is the wheels and tires and get that fender and get it all put back together. So it's not raining today, but it is supposed to rain later. So I'm going to jump on this, hopefully get it done really quick. But with that, I'll get with the install. Alright, so I figured I'd go ahead and just do a voiceover on this video. With all the dogs barking and cars going back and forth, it'd be a lot easier for me just to kind of explain step by step what's going on in the video. It's not a hard process at all to get these shackles done. It really just takes, you know, one person to do it, but I definitely wouldn't want to do it with the bed on the truck. You can do it with the bed on the truck the exact same way as you see me do it here, but just the ease of being able to get to all the nuts and bolts without having to fight the bed, laying on your back underneath it, makes the job go so much easier. But you just saw me jack the truck up, put the frame on jack stands, and lower the axle down. So the next step I'm going to do is right here is just pulling the shocks off. So for some reason on a lot of these videos, people always try to do shackles. They leave the shocks on the back of the truck. We are replacing ours, but it makes it so much easier to have control over the axle, to be able to move it up and down and back and forth to wiggle the shackles back in place once you take the bolts out. So the next step, once you get the shocks off, is to go ahead and start working on the shackles. So whenever you take the shackles off, you always start with that bottom bolt, because you can see there's no way to get the top one off with the frame right underneath it. So you have to pull the bottom bolt off of both shackles and then jack up the rear end until that bolt goes right above the frame. When the bed's on the truck, you can, like I say, you can still do it. You just jack it up, and then the leaf springs actually like sit right on the bottom of the bed underneath the underneath the bed, right on top of the frame, where you can slide those bolts straight over the top of the frame and get them out. So that's why I prefer to do it like this, just because it's like you can see right here. All you gotta do is take the nut off and pull the bolt out. You're not fighting the bed. You're not laying on your back, stretching up there trying to get it. It just makes it so much easier. So for my opinion, I would say if you have a buddy or a friend to help you pull the bed off, that might be the easiest way to do it. But, you work with what you got, and we just got lucky because we had the bed off because it was already destroyed. So we just went ahead and did all the work we needed to do before we put the bed back on. So once you pull those bolts out, the shackles come right off, and then you just immediately reverse and put the new shackles back on. So you use the same hardware, just rebolt everything back on. But whenever you're putting it all back together, you want to leave the shackles loose because you don't want to tighten them down until you actually have the weight of the vehicle back on top of the axle. Because anything with rubber bushings like that, if you tighten down the bolt and squish that bushing in a place that it's not going to be, like once it's at ride height, it can make it squeak. It can make the bushing go bad a lot quicker. That's just the way you do pretty much all suspension components. So right there you can see I tightened it up a little bit too much. So I'm going to loosen it back out and then put the next bolt in. So going back together, once you have the bolt in the top shackle, the way I did it was put the bottom bushing right on top of the frame mount. And the bushing itself was just a little bit wider than the metal part of the frame. So I just took that plastic hammer and hit the bushing a little bit, and that squished the bushing together enough where it went right down into the frame. So you can just take that plastic hammer and tap it into place. It's not going to hurt a thing. But when you're lowering the axle, like right here, it's going to put that pressure onto the shackle and help work itself into place. So it is going to be tight, but that's a good thing because the bushing's going to fit nice and snug in there. But just tap it into place, get the bolt back through, and tighten everything down, and you're pretty much done with the shackles. And then the last step would be just to put the shocks back on and drop it all back down and tighten it up. So right there you saw me jack the rear end back up. So basically all I was doing was putting the weight of the frame back onto the leaf springs. And like I say, that's what you really want to do with the rubber bushings because now it's sitting at what will be ride height. And that's going to put the shackle in the right angle so that it's going to be basically in the middle of the stroke for when the suspension compresses and flexes and moves up and down. But you never want to tighten it before you drop it down because you saw how much that the shackle actually raised itself up. And if that bushing was already tight, you're already putting unnecessary strain on that bushing. That's what wears them out so much faster. So right here, I'm going to lower it back down onto the jack stands, take all the weight back off of it, and start putting the new shocks back on. Putting the new shocks back on is probably the most simple step. It's the same way you took them off. You just reverse it, put the bolts back in, and tighten them down. And you can see right here, I'm doing the same thing that I did with the shackles. Is jacking it up, putting the weight on the suspension so that those shocks are compressed a little bit, basically up into their ride height, just like it would be sitting on the ground. And the same reason we did it for the shackles is those rubber bushings have to be in the closest spot to where it's going to be when it's sitting at ride height to keep them in the right spot, keep them from squeaking and wearing out prematurely. But basically, all I got left, go around, put the 4 nuts and bolts back together, tighten it all down, and the shackle install is completely finished. All right, so there you have it. We have completed the lowering shackle and new shocks install on the Sierra. So it wasn't too bad of a job. It's definitely a lot easier if you have the bed off. I don't think I even would want to do it with the bed on. But you know, you do what you do. We got lucky because we had the bed off. I don't know if it would be faster overall if you actually took the bed off to do it. If you didn't need to, but it was still straightforward. The easiest way to do it is to take the shocks off. That way you have full mobility of the axle to go up and down wherever you need it. But just take the shocks off, raise it up, get those two bolts out, put it all back together. In the same way, you have the availability to move the axle if you've got those shocks out, which makes it a lot easier to get everything back together. But I'm gonna do a quick walk around and show you what we got. All right, so you can see the shackles. They're actually adjustable, so they had a hole on the bottom for a 1-inch drop, and then the one on top that we used for a 2-inch drop. As we did some measurements around before we took the bed off, we figured that'd probably be the most level. They do have a grease joint right here, which I thought was pretty cool, so I put that in before I put them on. We just need to get some grease in that. That'll keep that bolt right there from squeaking. And you can see the new shocks. So they were pretty straightforward. The old ones, I don't really think they were bad, but they looked bad. You can see all that nasty rust on them. So we just went ahead and replaced them. That way the next person that gets it doesn't have to worry about it. And it's just makes it look a lot nicer. So that's pretty much it for this video. But I hope you guys enjoyed the install. I hope you guys are enjoying some of the content we're putting out. And if you're not following us on Instagram, give us a follow. Go check out No BS Auto Rehab on Instagram, because there's a lot of pictures of the parts and stuff we do, some cars, our personal vehicles that we work on. My F-250. Hopefully we're going to have Coley's S10 in here, getting some stuff done to it soon. But yeah, anything you need to know, little how-tos. If you have any questions about the stuff that we've done, shoot us a message. We can definitely help you out. But hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and stay tuned, because we're going to have a lot more stuff coming at you. Y'all have a good one.